Hey everybody, today I'm going to go over some of the cucuberts in my garden. Before I do that, I just want to do a quick public service announcement. Um, get your children vaccinated for chickenpox and also get your vaccinations for shingles if you're an adult. Get it as soon as you're able to do so because this is shingles right here on my nose. It's also going up here on my forehead, and I can feel it going in a line across my head all the way down across my trigeminal nerve. Most of the time, people expect it to be somewhere on their body or somewhere else. Let me tell you, this has been awful because this thing weeps all the time, and so I'm literally spraying chickenpox all over the place out of my nose. Um, and I can infect anybody who is not immune to chickenpox. If you are immune to chickenpox, you are unlikely to get shingles from me. However, it's not a pleasant experience whether or not you contract it from somebody who has an active shingles infection or your own varicella um, or herpes zoster is what the condition is called when you have the shingles. Also, I have a lot of swollen glands on my neck, so it's actually getting hard to talk right now. But no, get those vaccines. You don't want this. So that's the public service announcement. Let's talk about some pumpkins. So this big crazy vine right here is Seminole pumpkin. I think I may have previously misidentified it as coyote gourd, but I have since recognized it as Cucurbita moscata. So it's not actually pumpkin, which is Cucurbita maxima. Sometimes we call some of the Cucurbita pepos pumpkins, but as you can see, it's a smaller pumpkin. This probably won't get much bigger than this. Here's another one of those baby fruits that I was telling you about that didn't get fertilized. We're gonna yeet that because we don't want the plant devoting a lot of attention to it. There's another one, we'll yeet it. Yeet, yeet. But yeah, so here's one here. There's another one down here. Here's another one. And then it's just, I've got like my little wildflower garden going over here. And then you can look, there's been some questions recently about these little yellow guys that hang out on milkweeds and oleander. These are oleander aphids. I think sometimes they get called milkweed aphids, but they hang out on dogwood family, so like Asclepias. So milkweeds and oleander and maybe some other members of that tribe, clade, grade, something like that. We'll get that guy out. Bye-bye. But they, as you can see, they aren't on the other plants here. They're not getting onto, like they're basically touching the cucuberts and not getting involved. The yellow bells are right here. They're not getting involved. They very specifically feed on that, and they're really important forage for a lot of your predatory insects. So that's an important one for you. We can see I am still getting some broccoli going on here. It's going slower in the heat. Let's see, but sunflowers are coming in. I'm not quite sure who this is, but they are apparently struggling either in the sun or they're having trouble getting some nutrients. But the leaves are turgid. So I'm not too worried about it. There might just be some damage to the vine because there is a second plant growing alongside it that might just be more vigorous and choking it out. For now, it's just with what I was sharing earlier, it's really painful to try and like dig around down low. So that's a future me problem to figure out. But I did finally carve out that giant monster that was down here. It came in at 25.8 pounds, so almost a 26-pound pumpkin in 30 days. I have no idea what its genetics are, but I'm suspecting that it was a mix between a Lakota squash and a Casperata. And just like a really nice mixture. Here's some of my cosmos finally starting to come in. But you can see there's more of those big giant white pumpkins. Growing in. Oh, it's much easier to see. Like that one's really starting to take off. There's another one back there starting to take off. So there's those. There's these guys. I've noticed that these guys, particularly the branching sunflowers, especially the ones that aren't just yellow, oh, we've come full circle, don't really do much in the way of following the sun. It looks like they're putting a lot of energy into just putting on more side shoots. Here is a cucurbita pepo. This is cucurbita texana. I forget the common name for it, but this is a Texas wild gourd. Not edible by people, but you can make a soapy substance out of it. A lot of people will just call it soap, but if you want to get into chemical and legal definitions of soap, it is not soap. But it is something that you can use to clean your skin out in the wild if you locate it, but it'll give you horrible diarrhea if you try and eat it. This will not. This is another pumpkin. That's another pumpkin. We've got a butternut squash down there. That's another sea pepo. Oh, it looks like maybe we had some bird visitors come in and pick at the sunflowers and drop some sunflower seeds for us there. I opened up this area here. This is the poppies. You can tell most of them have gone to seed. Oh, I just scared off a little birdie. Some of the birds really let me get very close before they run off now. There's a lantana that I transplanted from my old place that I totally forgot was even there, and I was like, what is this weird plant? And yeah, there it is, growing just fine. Over here, it's another, I forget, I think that's another Seminole pumpkin. Not quite sure what this guy's gonna be. But I am very interested in what it turns out as, because it's got a pretty cool shape to it. That's the problem sometimes with planting. And one of my do as I say, not as I do instructions, because I just plant stuff and I'll say, put markers down instead of just relying on your memory. I just rely on my memory, knowing that I should put markers down. Ooh, what's this bee? Is this a Nora? Is this a honeybee? Is this even a bee? No, we have a... Whoop! I think that might have been a digger bee or a squash bee hanging out there. But I am starting to see silks on my corn, which is exciting. I know I said this was a cucubert, but it's also just going to be a general garden tour. Of course, it always is with me, because you know that I just don't do scripts. And you're going to have to forgive me, because this is what I've got energy for right now, because I was at the emergency room last night for several hours, because I was advised to go to the emergency room when you have shingles that is impacting your eyeballs, because you can go blind. So yeah, this is Kajari melon. So this is a tropical heat-loving melon. I think this is also one, I planted them rather densely because in the past I've had a lot of trouble getting them to grow. So I'm very excited to see them actually doing something this year. You can see I've got some amaranth coming up with the sunflowers, and all of my little sunflowers are doing as instructed, which is for the most part shading these pots. Looks like I need to water this pot so that this little guy will get some water. That Greek oregano is dead, but some of the other stuff is doing much better than I thought, and some of the other stuff is not doing as well. So interesting. That looks like it's going to be loofah. There's the toad guarding the garden. Here's the hibiscus. Always want to show these guys off. I forget the particular name, but they look really cool under a black light at night. But you know, I thought, you know, don't water the cactus, don't overwater the cactus, don't overwater. Every time I give that a ton of water, it blooms. So I have a new strategy, which is water the cactus. Plains coreopsis, Tahoka daisies. The Tahoka daisies are wonderful. I love these. If I had known what they looked like sooner, I would have definitely planted these a lot earlier in my gardening career. But I've got more here. I planted all kinds of pumpkins and melons through here, as well as sunflowers. You can see here, this is definitely melon, watermelon to be particular. I've also got some native grasses coming up. This is just kind of my hodgepodge seed dump area. And then I have planted a lot of cactus along over here. A lot of it's transplanted, and then I've covered it with kind of dead oleander clippings just to give it some protection from the sun while it establishes, because some of it was looking really stressed out. And in general, I don't worry about stressing my plants out in the sun. This is Arizona. But new transplants, May isn't a great time to transplant, but it was also the last chance to transplant. Or try to keep them alive in a pot for another year, and I didn't want to do that. So, yep. But things are going well. This area is doing well enough. Some of the plants aren't surviving so well. Some of them aren't surviving because they got eaten by my tortoise. I have just like some really huge clumps of seedlings. So I've been coming through and just kind of thinning those out. I try not to rip them up completely, because it's better to just kind of cut the heads off. But the onions that I stuck in the ground are doing well. It looks like the passion fruit is doing well. Where did it go? Oh yeah, these penstemons are so nice. Look at that, that purple, that violet to purple transition. I'm enjoying it very much. This carrot is somehow still hanging on, at least somewhat. Looks like my tortoise may have found it. But I'm hoping that it will soon send up more sprouts. But it also looks like a lot of marigold seeds got pushed into my piles. Gomphrena, that might be the only one that's still alive right now. Echinacea, still trying to figure out the watering frequency on this. The bee balm, I thought I did something wrong, but apparently it doesn't like full sun, but this should be full of seeds. And it smells really nice. It actually, well, it depends on what you call nice, because I might ruin it for you right now, because to me it smells like Gold Bond body powder, but not in a bad way. It also has sort of an oregano smell. So I'm gonna chop some of that up over there. But I think this is another bee balm coming up right here. It's got a little bit more afternoon shade. We've got stuff coming in here. We've got some carrots, eggplant. There is a cucabert here. I don't know that it's going to be able to establish and get enough water. Keep in mind that it is 2, almost 3 in the afternoon. right now, so a lot of these plants are just doing their afternoon wilt. And if they're still wilting after sundown, I'll give them some water and continue to monitor. It's like this dinosaur kale is suboptimally planted. I mean, it's literally growing out of the cinder block that doesn't have a whole lot of actual substrate. When I planted it, I gave it like leaf duff and said, good luck, hope the worms find you. Which I knew the worms would, but that's how that's going for that. This marigold's doing something, finally. Buddleia maribifolia, native to Texas. This is the only butterfly bush that I think anybody should get. This is woolly butterfly bush. The other ones can get very invasive depending on where you put them in the country. So just stay away from them. Oh, another cucumber that's Armenian cucumber over there. Not really fruiting right now, but it did just get really rapidly moved. And then that kind of red foliage plant, that is edible leaf amaranth, sometimes called red leaf amaranth. It's going to flower. Oh, I don't think I've ever seen amaranth do this. Neat. This is my Hopi red dye amaranth. And I'm hot, my phone is hot. That's it for this video. Thank you for stopping by the Caliche Crucible. My name is Greg. Don't forget to like and subscribe.